Celestial encounter Sarah Jenkins hadn't expected anything unusual during her night shift at the Whispering Pines Observatory. The remote facility nestled in the mountains of Wyoming was typically quiet, which suited her perfectly. The vast emptiness of the night sky was her closest companion as she monitored the telescope array, tracking a meteor shower that wasn't scheduled in any astronomical forecast. "That's strange," she muttered, adjusting the calibration on the main telescope. The meteors were moving erratically, not following typical patterns. Her colleagues had all gone home hours ago, leaving her alone with the humming equipment and the soft glow of computer screens. She switched to the infrared camera and froze one of the objects. Wasn't burning up in the atmosphere. Instead, it seemed to be slowing down and changing direction. "Impossible," she whispered, her breath fogging the cold air of the observation dome. Sarah grabbed her jacket and rushed outside, her curiosity overwhelming. Caution. The night air bit at her cheeks as she raised her binoculars, tracking the anomaly. It curved impossibly against the laws of physics before disappearing behind the tree line with a distant thud that she felt more than heard without hesitation. She jumped into her old Jeep and followed the maintenance road that wound through the dense forest. The headlights cut through the darkness, revealing a trail of broken branches and disturbed earth leading away from the path. "Hello," Sarah called, out softly as she approached the small crater, her flashlight revealing something that made her heart stutter. The object was unlike anything she'd ever seen. About the size of a small car, its surface shimmered with an iridescent material that seemed to absorb the light from her flashlight. Its seamless design bore no resemblance to any aircraft she recognized. A section of the hull suddenly rippled, and Sarah stumbled backward, nearly dropping her flashlight. A strange mist, with the scent of something, like cloves and electricity, billowed out. From within emerged a figure. The being stood slightly taller than Sarah, with skin the color of deep purple twilight, with subtle luminescent patterns that shifted beneath the surface. Dark hair-like filaments moved around its head as if floating in water despite the still night air. Its features were almost human, with large silver eyes that reflected the starlight. "Are you okay?" Sarah asked instinctively, stepping forward as the being stumbled clearly. "Injured." The alien looked at her with those metallic eyes that seemed to pierce through her. "Astra vecatorum." Its voice was melodic but strained. A small device at its throat sparked, and then the being tapped it, trying again. "Human danger not. For me." "Yes, human," Sarah said, pointing to herself. "I'm Sarah, I want to help you." The being touched its own chest. "Kai ship broken body hurt." Sarah glanced back toward the observatory, knowing that if anyone discovered this being, it would mean government, facilities, black sites, and experiments. She made a split-second decision. "I can help you, but we need to go somewhere safe." Now Kai seemed to understand, studying her face for a long moment with those silver eyes. Before Sarah could react, Kai reached out and touched her forehead. A warm sensation spread through her mind, filling it with impressions of trust and gratitude. "What was that?" she asked, startled. "Communication. True," Kai replied, the translation device struggling with the concept. The sound of a distant vehicle made them both tense. "Someone's coming," Sarah whispered. "Can you walk?" Kai nodded, and Sarah helped support the alien's surprisingly light frame as they made their way back to her Jeep. Just as they reached it, headlights appeared. On the main road leading to the observatory, Dr. Chen. Sarah muttered, recognizing the car of the head scientist, a man known for his ambition and government connections. "Hold on," she told Kai, as she quickly drove away, taking a little used service road that circled behind the facility to her small cabin on the observatory grounds. As they reached safety, Sarah realized her life had irrevocably changed. The stars she had spent years studying had finally answered back, and nothing would ever be the same again. Hidden sanctuary. Sarah's cabin sat on the edge of the observatory property, surrounded by towering pine trees. The simple wooden structure had been her home for the past 3 years, since she'd accepted the position at Whispering Pines. Now it would become a sanctuary for her unexpected visitor. "This place safe," she explained. helping Kai inside. The alien moved gingerly, clearly in pain from injuries sustained in the crash. "You can stay here while we figure out what to do." Kai's silver eyes took in the modest interior, scanning the astronomy books scattered on coffee tables, the star charts pinned to walls, and the telescope positioned by the window. "You study stars." The translation device crackled. "Yes, that's my job," Sarah replied, as she gathered first aid supplies, not entirely sure they would work on Kai's physiology. "I'm an astronomer, I watch the sky." She guided Kai to her sofa and hesitantly examined the injuries. A gash along the alien's purple arm seemed to be slowly sealing itself with a bioluminescent substance. "You heal quickly," she observed. "Fascinated body repairs." Kai confirmed. "Not fast as normal crash-damaged systems." Sarah offered a glass of water, which Kai examined curiously before taking a small sip. The alien's expression changed to what Sarah interpreted as surprise. "This liquid is pure. Many worlds have not." A sudden knock at the door made them both freeze. Sarah motioned for Kai to stay quiet as she approached the entrance cautiously. "Who is it?" she called out. "It's Chen," came the reply. "I saw your lights on, you weren't answering your phone." Sarah opened the door just enough to see Dr. Chen standing on her porch. His narrow face was tight with suspicion. "Sorry, I was asleep," she lied. "Is something wrong?" Dr. Chen's eyes tried to peer past her into the cabin. "There was unusual activity on the southwestern quadrant sensors tonight. Did you notice anything during your shift?" Sarah kept her expression neutral. "Just the unscheduled meteor shower. I logged it in the system before I left. One of the security cameras caught you driving off-site," he said, his voice carrying an edge of accusation. "That's against protocol during observation hours." "I thought I saw something interesting and wanted a better vantage point," she said, forcing a sheepish smile. "Just enthusiasm getting the better of protocol. I'm sorry." Dr. Chen studied her face for a moment. "The military contacted us about unusual energy signatures in our area. I need full reports of anything anomalous you've observed, of course." Sarah nodded, feeling her heart hammering. "I'll have it on your desk first thing tomorrow." After Dr. Chen finally left, Sarah locked the door and leaned against it, exhaling slowly. Kai had moved to the far corner of the room, blending remarkably well with the shadows. "He suspects," Kai said simply. "Yes," Sarah admitted, moving back to the alien. "But we should be safe for tonight, at least until I can figure out what to do." She hesitated, before asking, "Why are you here on Earth?" "I mean," Kai's translator hummed, processing the complex answer. "Explorer, I am study developing worlds solo mission." "You're a scientist too," Sarah realized with surprise. "Knowledge seeker," Kai corrected. "Your world interesting rapid development, but..." The device sparked dangerous phase. Sarah found herself smiling despite the situation. "And now you've become the subject of study. How ironic." Throughout the night, Sarah helped tend to Kai's injuries, learning that certain materials in her home seemed to accelerate the alien's healing. The purple skin regenerated at a remarkable rate, fascinated her scientifically trained mind. By morning, she had moved a small cot into her storage room, creating a hidden space where Kai could rest safely. She called in sick to work, buying them time. "How badly damaged is your ship?" she asked as they shared a simple breakfast. Kai seemed particularly fond of honey, which created a pleasant reaction with the aliens. "Biology making the patterns beneath the purple skin glow more brightly. Repairs possible," Kai explained. "Need materials not found in forest." "I might be able to help," Sarah offered. "I have access to the observatory's equipment and lab, but we'll have to be careful. Dr. Chen is suspicious already, and if the military is involved..." Kai reached across the table, touching Sarah's hand lightly. The now familiar warm sensation spread up her arm, but this time carrying impressions of concern. "Dangerous. For you helping me." Sarah didn't pull away, finding the connection strangely comforting. "Sometimes the most important discoveries come with risks," she said softly. "And I've never been very good at walking away from a mystery." The alien's silver eyes seemed to see through her, studying her in a way that made Sarah feel both exposed and understood. a look that made her wonder what it would be like to truly communicate without the barrier of language and different biology. "I should go to work briefly," she said, finally breaking the moment. "To avoid raising more suspicion, I'll see what materials I can quietly collect." As she prepared to leave, Sarah created a simple communication system showing Kai how to use her tablet. "If there's an emergency, press this button. It will alert my phone." Before she left, Sarah paused at the door, looking back at the alien who now sat by her window, gazing at the sky. "You came all this way to study us," she said. "What have you learned so far?" Kai turned those silver eyes toward her, the hair-like filaments moving gently. "Humans contradictory, capable of great fear, but also," the translator searched for the right word, "unexpected kindness." Sarah felt a warmth spread through her chest that had nothing to do with alien biology. "Try not to revise that conclusion while I'm gone," she said with a smile as she stepped out into the morning light, wondering how she would ever keep such an extraordinary secret. Cosmic connection. A week passed with Sarah establishing a careful routine. She would appear at the observatory for her scheduled shifts, maintaining a facade of normalcy, while secretly gathering materials that Kai needed. The alien's translator had improved considerably with modifications using parts from Sarah's old electronics. "Your Earth technology is adaptable," Kai observed one evening as they worked together in Sarah's living room, which had transformed into an impromptu laboratory. "Simple but effective." Sarah laughed softly. "I'll take that as a compliment coming from someone who travels between stars." They sat close together on the floor, surrounded by components salvaged from the observatory's storage and items Sarah had carefully borrowed from the lab. Kai's purple fingers moved with precision, connecting circuits that responded to touch in ways that defied Earth's engineering principles. "How far is your world from here?" Sarah asked, watching in fascination as Kai manipulated what appeared to be liquid crystal into solid form, distance not translatable to Earth measurements. Kai replied, the melodic voice now flowing more smoothly through the improved translator. "Beyond your current technology." "And what's it like, your home?" Kai was quiet for a moment, the silver eyes distant with memory. "3 moons circle our planet, oceans that glow during dark cycle cities built within living crystal formations." "It sounds beautiful," Sarah whispered, trying to imagine. "Such a place, different," Kai corrected. "Not better, not worse, just different like you." Their hands touched as they both reached for the same tool, sending that now familiar warmth coursing through Sarah's arm. But this time the sensation lingered, images forming in her mind, not clear like photographs, but impressions of colors, sensations, emotions. The vastness of space seen through different eyes, the wonder of discovering new worlds. And underneath it all, a growing affection that mirrored her own unspoken feelings. When the connection broke, Sarah found herself breathless. "Did you just share memories with me?" "Communication true," Kai said simply, words insufficient. Their work was interrupted by Sarah's phone chiming with a message. She checked it and her expression darkened. "It's Arya from the observatory. She says Dr. Chen has called an emergency staff meeting tomorrow. Something about government representatives coming to the facility. Discovery risk increases," Kai noted, the luminescent patterns beneath the purple skin pulsing with what Sarah had come to recognize as concern. "I'll go to the meeting," Sarah decided. "Find out what's happening. It would look suspicious if I didn't attend." The next morning, Sarah arrived at the observatory to find an unfamiliar black SUV parked outside. The atmosphere inside was tense as she joined her colleagues in the conference room. Dr. Chen stood at the front with a stern-faced man in a dark suit. "This is Agent Cooper," Dr. Chen announced. "He's with a special division of Homeland Security investigating unusual phenomena in our region." Cooper surveyed the room with cold gray eyes that seemed to linger on Sarah. "We've detected energy signatures consistent with non-terrestrial technology," he stated bluntly. "If anyone has observed anything unusual in the past 10 days, I need to know immediately." Sarah kept her expression neutral as her colleagues murmured among themselves. Arya, her closest friend at the facility, leaned over. Sounds like someone's been watching too many alien invasion movies, she whispered. The matter is serious, Cooper continued. These energy signatures could indicate a potential threat to national security. Anyone withholding information will face severe consequences. After the meeting, Dr. Chen pulled Sarah aside. You were out sick for 3 days after that meteor shower, he said, his eyes narrowing. And you've been leaving early, taking equipment from the inventory logs, I've noticed. Several items missing. I've been working on a personal project, Sarah replied, keeping her voice steady. Star mapping software. Nothing that would interest Homeland Security. Dr. Chen didn't look convinced. Cooper wants to interview each staff member, individually, starting with those who were on duty the night of the meteor activity. Sarah's heart raced, but she maintained her composure. Of course, I have nothing to hide. When she finally returned to her cabin that evening, she found Kai waiting, anxiously. They suspect, she confirmed, removing her jacket. A government agent named Cooper is investigating. They know something crashed here. My ship emits energy. Your technology can detect, Kai explained. Even in dormant state. Sarah paced the small living room. We need to repair your ship faster, get you out of here before they find you. Kai moved to her side, placing gentle hands on her shoulders. Sarah. The alien said her name for the first time, the sound of it in that melodic voice, sending a shiver through her. Why risk safety for me? She looked up into those silver eyes that had become so familiar. At first it was curiosity, I guess. The scientist in me. But now, she hesitated, struggling to articulate feelings she barely understood. Herself, Kai's hand moved to her face, the purple fingers warm against her cheek. No need for words, the alien whispered. May I? Sarah nodded, and Kai's forehead touched hers. The connection bloomed between them stronger than before. A sharing not just of thoughts but of deeper emotions. The loneliness of being an explorer far from home, the wonder of finding understanding in an unexpected place. The growing bond between two beings from different worlds. When they separated, Sarah realized tears had formed in her eyes. I've spent my life studying the stars, she whispered, never imagining they might study me back. Kai's hair-like filaments moved, gently framing the almost human face. Universe has patterns, Sarah, connections not random. That night they worked side by side, preparing the components needed to repair Kai's ship, their hands occasionally brushing each, creating small moments of connection that required no translation. The boundary between researcher and subject, scientist, and discovery, human and alien, blurring with each passing hour. Outside the cabin, the forest stood silent under the canopy of stars, while inside two beings from different worlds found a common language in the universal principles of science and the even more universal language of connection. Betrayal's shadow. The morning sun filtered through the pines as Sarah hurriedly packed essentials into her backpack. Her hands trembled slightly from exhaustion after working through the night with Kai on the final repair components. We need to move quickly, she whispered, glancing anxiously out the window. Dr. Chen has been watching the cabin. Kai nodded, the silver eyes alert. Ship needs only final assembly, functional enough for departure. The alien had recovered remarkably, their purple skin now glowing with healthy luminescence. The filaments around Kai's head moved gracefully, sensing Sarah's anxiety. A sudden banging at the door made them both freeze. Sarah Jenkins. Agent Cooper's authoritative voice called out. This is Homeland. Security, open the door immediately. Sarah motioned Kai toward the back exit. Go, I'll stall them. Not without you, Kai insisted, touching her arm briefly, sending a pulse of determined protection through the connection. Before Sarah could respond, the door burst open. Dr. Chen entered, flanked by Cooper and two armed agents. I told you she was hiding something. Chen set his face tight with vindictive satisfaction. Cooper's eyes widened. Seeing Kai, my God. He breathed, reaching for his weapon. Stop. Sarah stepped between them. Kai isn't a threat. Sarah. Arya's voice came from behind the agents. She pushed past them, her face apologetic. I followed Dr. Chen when I saw him with the agents. I had to warn you. Secure the alien, Cooper ordered his men, and detain these women. What happened next unfolded in seconds. Kai moved with unexpected speed, touching a device on their wrist. The lights flickered, and all electronic equipment failed. The agents' weapons powered down, leaving them confused. Now, Kai grabbed Sarah's hand, pulling her toward the door where Arya stood. They fled into the forest as shouts echoed behind them. Arya led them through a maintenance tunnel that connected to the observatory's underground storage facility, the ship. Sarah gasped as they emerged on the other side of the mountain. We need to get to Kai's ship. I know where it is, Arya admitted, surprising them both. I followed you one night. I've been covering for you with the security logs. Together, they made their way to the hidden crash site as sirens wailed in the distance. The sleek craft sat partially covered by branches, its surface now repaired and humming with energy. It will fly, Kai confirmed after a quick assessment. But pursuit will follow. Sarah turned to Arya. Thank you for everything. Just doing what any decent human would, Arya replied, hugging her friend. Now go. They're coming. As they prepared to board, Cooper and his team emerged from the trees, weapons raised. Stop right there, he shouted. That's government property now. Sarah looked at the approaching agents, then back at Kai. The alien's eyes met hers, filled with an unspoken question. The choice that would determine everything. Starbound promised. The mountain air crackled with tension as Sarah stood at the threshold between worlds. Kai, already aboard the ship, reached out a purple hand toward her. Last chance, Sarah. Cooper called his weapon, trained on them both. Step away from the alien, that's an order. Time seemed to slow as Sarah's mind filled with impossibilities. The career she'd built, the family she'd left behind, the stars she'd only observed from afar, and now the being who had shown her the universe could be experienced, not just studied. I'm sorry, she whispered, not sure who she was apologizing to, before taking Kai's hand and stepping into the ship. The door sealed instantly as Cooper fired his weapon. The energy bolts dissipated harmlessly against the hull. Kai moved with practiced efficiency, activating controls that responded to touch and thought. They will pursue, the alien warned, as the craft hummed to life. Not where we're going, Sarah replied with sudden certainty. The ship rose silently into the air as Cooper and his agents watched helplessly. The craft hovered for a moment before accelerating upward at impossible speed, leaving Earth's atmosphere in seconds. Inside, Sarah gazed through a viewing portal as her planet grew smaller, a blue marble suspended in darkness. It's beautiful, she whispered, tears forming in her eyes. I never imagined seeing it like this. Kai moved beside her, their purple skin luminescent in the starlight. Regrets. Sarah turned to face the alien who had changed everything. No, not regrets, just saying goodbye. Kai's filaments moved gently, framing the face that had become so dear to her. Your world will search. Let them, Sarah said with newfound confidence. They'll be looking for an alien and a kidnapped human. They won't be looking for two explorers. Where shall we go? Kai asked, the silver eyes reflecting the starfield around them. Sarah smiled, reaching out to touch Kai's face, initiating the connection that now felt as natural as breathing. Their minds joined, sharing not just thoughts but possibilities. Futures, paths among the stars everywhere, she answered as the ship accelerated toward the infinite cosmos. Let's discover it together. The translator device hummed with Kai's response, but Sarah hardly needed it anymore, understanding flowing between them beyond words. Connection true, the alien said, simply touching their forehead to hers. As Earth vanished behind them, Sarah felt not loss, but expansion. The astronomer who had spent her life searching, the sky now becoming part of its mystery. The boundary between observer and observed, human and alien seeker, and sought dissolving into something new. Something that, like the stars themselves, would burn bright across the darkness, connecting worlds that once seemed impossibly distant. The ship streaked through space, leaving behind questions and pursuing agents, carrying instead the promise of discoveries that waited beyond the familiar stars. For Sarah and Kai, their journey had only begun, not as separate beings from different worlds but as kindred explorers bound by curiosity, courage, and a connection that transcended the vastness of space itself.